Seattle's City Attorney Pete Holmes loves to roll up that OG Pearl after a long day at work and just relax, but that actually got him in trouble, especially after he bought marijuana legally for the first time recently in Washington after they made it legal for recreational use. The only problem is, even though he was one of the first people to buy the legal marijuana, he took it to work and he got caught. Here's what he had to say. When I bought the unopened marijuana to city offices trying to keep up with the busy schedule, I nonetheless violated the city's rules. Holmes on Friday apologized, volunteered to donate $3,000 to a downtown shelter, and voiced his ongoing support for the state's landmark initiative. In fact, he said the following: "The most important takeaway here is that today marijuana sales became legal, and I'm here to personally exercise myself this new freedom."
Okay, this guy's ballsy. I like it, man. He's a city attorney, and he's like, let's light up. Okay, let's go to work, literally. Okay, so he shouldn't have done that, obviously.
Yeah.
Especially if you're the city attorney, you should probably check the laws on whether you should bring in the weed to work. Bring your weed to work day. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it, but nonetheless.
Yeah.
My thing is, why is he randomly giving $3,000 to a shelter?
I don't know, but I'm in favor of it. $3,000 to a homeless shelter, why not? I mean...
No, that's great.
Yeah.
I'm happy for the shelter. I don't know what it has to do with weed.
I feel like it's a win-win for everyone. Like, he's a totally likable guy. He's just like us. He's a city attorney, and he's just like us. I mean, not saying that we like to smoke weed, but, you know, just saying that he likes to indulge time to time. This is actually my favorite quote. He got very specific about the type of pot that he purchased. He said, "I bought two 2-gram bags of OG Pearl, which was recommended. I'm keeping one bag for posterity and one for personal enjoyment at some point when it's appropriate, which is every night after work or perhaps every day before work."
Okay, so...
No, that's not true.
Not necessarily what Anna does every day.
No.
Okay. First of all, I like that he's, taking action here. He wasn't theoretically in favor of legalizing it. Mm-hmm. He was actually in favor of legalizing it. And he's like, there's nothing wrong with it, and I don't think there's a stigma, and I'm going to prove that there's no stigma by immediately buying it. See, there's no reason for it to be illegal in the first place. See, that's why I really like this guy.
Yeah.
Because he's not saying like, which I don't smoke that much, so I say it every once in a while. But a lot of people who do smoke a lot will say like, oh, not that I smoke or anything like that, but for tax reasons it should be legal and stuff.
Yeah.
And this guy said, no, there's nothing wrong with smoking it.
Yeah.
That's why it should be legal. It's perfectly fine, right? And he's like, in fact, I got some right here.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, he couldn't help himself, and he had to say OG Pearl, which was recommended.
Which was recommended.
I mean, I don't know.
It's not that I don't usually consume the OG Pearl. Usually it's something else. By the way, where do they come up with these names? I love the names for marijuana.
Of course. I don't usually smoke the chronic, but when I do, it's OG Pearl.
Yes. By the way, we have no idea if OG Pearl is chronic.
Of course not. I don't even know quite what chronic is.
By the way, a serious point I want to make about this story is, isn't it so crazy that since there's still a federal prohibition on marijuana, and since to some degree it's left to the states to decide whether or not they legalize it for recreational use, you have cases like this where a public official, a city attorney, is able to legally buy recreational use and kind of like brag about it to the press. And then you have other red states that are still prosecuting, convicting, and jailing people who have minor possession.
And look, to go further, the federal government could come and get him. I mean, if they wanted to, they can go and arrest that guy and put him in prison, even though he's Seattle City Attorney, for having that marijuana, because the laws conflict. The federal law and the state law conflicts. Now, luckily, they've stopped doing that, but for a long time under President Obama, they were actually breaking records on dispensary rates.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, we've gone in the right direction here, but we're nowhere near out of the woods.
Definitely. And I like that, you have people like Tom Angel fighting for marijuana legalization. The prohibition just doesn't make sense. Even if you're against smoking it, it doesn't mean that once you legalize it, you have to smoke it. It means that we're going to stop wasting our resources on, criminalizing these people. And there was one other point I wanted to make, but I just had a jank moment and forgot.
Oh, that's now a jank moment. Thank you. I appreciate it.
That happens often on the show.
Okay, all right. Listen, I want to make sure this guy's all right. Don't have any repercussions in work, because I don't want this guy going weedless in Seattle. See, that's pulling a jank.
That is pulling a jank.